Peace and love, family. This Hakeem Shabazz Allah here. Brothers, care to introduce yourself?
Peace, peace, family. Assalamu alaikum. The brother Alazar. Peace and blessings to the family. It's gonna be a wonderful conversation tonight. A great build. Got some good brothers on the line. We do that.
What's up, family? Brother Ja El here, Chief Minister of Health, the Aboriginal Republic of North America, and definitely excited for our discussion tonight, just talking about this indigenous Aboriginal Ramadan here. So thank y'all for inviting me to your platform and just extending this opportunity to talk about what's going on, what's happening in this season.
Okay. You mind telling us exactly why we should fast during this month of December or during the winter solstice?
Okay. Yeah, so this time of the year is truly one of the most special times of the years for several reasons. And these reasons most of us are entirely unaware of, but yet we actually do participate in the seasonal activity. So later on in our discussion, we're pretty much going to cover all of the points here, but there's a number of let's just say background context that really sets the stage for you to understand the importance of why, what, and how. But just to simply answer your question on like one reason, this is an important time or an optimal time for us to participate in a fast is because, during a time of a fast, you have the ability to first and foremost relax your digestive system. Most people don't realize that over 65% of your energy expenditure is going towards digestion. So if you're continuously eating throughout the day, your body never has a chance to take a rest and actually repair itself and things of that nature. And so during this period when we fast, during this time of the year, the first thing that we're doing is giving our bodies an opportunity to slow down and to redirect some of that energy, back into our cells, back into our tissues, back into our organs and our various body systems. And so not only is this, optimal for your health, it's also an optimal time to reinstitute some discipline, some mental toughness.
Right.
Yeah. So, so much is happening throughout the year, but then this period of this season comes around and, you just have an opportunity to kind of recalibrate and reset yourself. And there's actually certain times throughout the day where you are to actually just practice mindfulness, where, you're just for a moment focusing on either, let's say at the beginning of your day, you're focusing on a certain intention, at the middle part of your day, another intention, and at the end of your day, another intention. And so we do have some visual cues to go along with some more of those details, but I don't want to get too far.
Okay, so I had a question for you, Brother Dial. Appreciate you for joining us as well. So would you say there's a certain age where a person can tap into this fast during Ramadan, or can a person be young, old? What would you say? Like, if a person is asking, is there like a set age, or?
Yeah. So honestly, anyone can participate. The only people that it's advised to not participate in fasting during the daytime fast, which means that you don't consume any food during the daylight hours of sunrise and until after the sun sets and after you do your prayer and your meditation and your visualization. So so pregnant or nursing mothers are not they shouldn't participate in a fast. And then anybody who has an extreme, physical ailment or condition, should not be participating in the fast. But outside of that, this is something that anyone and everyone should be participating in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, I also wanted to ask Brother Ja El, what made you get into this? What age, like what sparked your interest in getting into this, this whole idea of fasting, resting your body, cleaning your body out? What sparked your interest? How old were you?
Oh yeah. So I actually ended up on this part of my path and journey. This is actually like a sidebar, like getting, arriving at this point of awareness. It wasn't my intention to seek out Ramadan in this fashion, but the original direction that I took was a path about heritage and knowledge of self. And so, once I went down some of those rabbit holes and learned about, being indigenous to the land and the certain connections between let's just say our indigenous ancestors, well before colonization, learning about that part of my heritage and culture, reconnecting with that became a matter of getting back into alignment with my God-given nature. And so, even at this point, when people are participating in the true Ramadan, which happens at the end of the year, not in, May or June, you're participating in just aligning yourself with nature and things of that nature, right? And so what many of us don't realize, or a lot of us do realize this, but we haven't realized the best path, which is that we've all been integrated into this society that, participating in its traditional norms is compromising the integrity of our God-given nature. And us being, descendants of the original peoples of this planet, we've also been disconnected from our culture that is a total reflection of our God-given nature. And, this seasonal and cyclical experience that, we're continuously moving through. And so I forgot to introduce or open up with an ebook that I had put together about 2 years ago. And there's a few elements missing to it, but I didn't want it to be too long. So for people who wanted to tap in to the Ramadan season, I wanted it to be something that they can quickly zip through without having to have so much time studying and going down the rabbit hole per se. And so there's a section here on the book. Is my screen sharing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so section here in the book says, why are you here? During the month of December, there exists a scientifically optimal time period to meditate more, build discipline, accomplish more goals, receive divine inspiration and revelation, reverse weight, reverse aging, optimize your health, align yourself into the will of our Creator. And again, this period is known as the Indigenous Ramadan. And so some additional context to why we should learn more about this and participate. Here I have, there's really a quote, I guess, down here, so we'll get to it. So yeah, this section of the book is called Reading the Room. So we as a people really need to read the room and understand what is happening, the cultural, socio-political landscape and dynamic that we are presently tied into that's outside of our control. And so, we must wake our lineage up from these spells of ignorance, which adversely impact every aspect of our decision making, spiritual, economic, political, and dietary, and return this wealth back to ourselves. Right? It is necessary for us to know the mathematics of the sky as seasons and universal time periods, along with its incremental measurements of time. And most importantly, we are to align ourselves, our families, our communities, and ultimately our society accordingly with the rhythm of nature. Such awareness constitutes the full measure of our divine inheritance, well beyond the accounts of genocide and slavery. Such mathematical expression enables us to rebalance the collective experience into the abundance of life's activity from our creator. And so our wisdom, our ancestors left us wisdom through patterns we know as rhythm and cycles of time. And the point here on this is that, once we get back in rhythm with nature and the cycles of time within nature, there's much more peace and divine order and abundance and prosperity, through that reality. And, like I was saying earlier, part of us as a people reclaiming our time and recalibrating ourselves is, just getting back reoriented with nature, natural law and things of that nature. Last point here is a quote from one of my health textbooks from the Aboriginal Medical Association. And it says that all indigenous people should be linked to their cosmic intelligence, which occurs by having a conscious knowledge of their heritage and lineage as the creators of the universe, knowledge of the cosmology and astronomy of the universe and its dimensions, and the practice of the absolute laws of the universe. This knowledge or vibration affects what is called the divine triangle, which is the pineal gland, the hypothalamus gland, and the pituitary gland. These three glands, along with other glands, the nervous system, and the heart, affect the electromagnetism, or the spirit of the body, the hormones, the immune, and all other subsystems of the body. So, with you guys extending this opportunity for us to just talk about this time of the year, we are essentially calling on all indigenous peoples to participate in this great opportunity to ignite a renaissance in learning, sharing, building, focusing on goals, and executing the vision of removing ignorance from all phases of our heritage as a people.
Okay, bet that's peace. So, where would you say the idea of the traditional Ramadan came from that Sunni and Orthodox follow?
Oh yeah, so honestly, to understand Ramadan, I would say that there's probably like 5 or 6 contextual points, and you just raised one of them, which is like a question about the historical and cultural context of Ramadan. Like, where did it come from um, in comparison to what we're participating in now, right? Because current Islamic culture and doctrine, as you mentioned, Sunni Islam, actually has over 1 billion people participating in a Ramadan at another time of the year. And so, to answer your question, let's just say that the original religious text that became Islam, it did not, it was not created by those who are in control of that culture and that religion now. So, in other words, the first original and true Islam derives from indigenous and Black cultures. And so there was a point in time in history where that power of, or the power of that group of people was toppled. And not only did they topple the government, but they also uh, intentionally mistranslated some texts within the Quran. So, you know, the biggest difference was people who practice Islam uh, and who are participating in Ramadan in like the earlier part of the year, is that they're participating based on a lunar cycle. And so in ancient and indigenous cultures, we knew that our our world that, you know, we're still living on today here on Earth didn't always have a moon. And so our indigenous and ancient cultures have it well documented that there was some type of cataclysmic activity, and the result of it was, you know, this what we now have in a low orbit is you know, our moon. And so when you just set those let's just say historical evidences with the current timeline and the current traditional practices, that's one hole that you can poke in their doctrine, and the doctrine that they have, you know, over 1 billion people following and practicing, being not the original doctrine. And
Right, right.
and then there's also, dang, I forgot that. Let me see. I think it's actually one of the sections that I was missing out of the book, which was a surah that has which surah that actually identifies the time of the year at which Ramadan occurs. And in the surah, it says that it occurs at the end of the ninth month, and you'll know by the setting of a star. I think that's in the surah that's called Al-Najm. Let's see here. I think I might have a section on it.
And to go back to what you were saying about the moon, it's actually been proven by some modern scientists that the moon was once part of the Earth
Mm-hmm.
and blown away, which is why it has its craters.
Right. Right. Yeah, this is, I gotta go ahead and finish the revised edition because it's just totally missing some critical pieces here. Yeah, I'm missing the piece about here. We can just go this section now. So yeah, brother, you know, not too many people are aware that the moon didn't always exist. But like you said, even recent scientific acknowledgments have you know, even recent scientific findings have acknowledged that point. And but so the point that I was making related to that is that the timing for the calendar by the original authors and culture and community that Islam and the Quran was written for was based on a solar calendar. And so now you have this now you have these pale Arabs who have overtaken the culture, you know, and now they're at the highest institutions of learning as for Islam and Quranic studies. And, you know, again, this is another example of what colonialization has done for us as an indigenous people, and more specifically, like it has it has caused us to become extremely uncalibrated, you know, and disconnected from the reality in nature of time. And so, if we had more people in our community, globally, in the Aboriginal indigenous community globally, participating in some elements of, Islam, such as Ramadan. Like, for example, I wasn't born and raised in a Islamic or Nation of Islam background, but somehow I'm here to this truth and reality. And the only reason why is because, a couple of years ago, I realized that there's this will over my life, from my creator. And there's this will that I have to fulfill and carry out, as a part of the will of the Most High. And I made an intentional and conscious choice to yield myself and to surrender to that force that was over my life. And back then, for me, the program that I was under that allowed me to take that stepping stone and that to evolve with that perception was Christianity. You know what I'm saying? What was that, about 8 years ago? I gave my life to Jesus Christ, right? But it was probably about like that was in 2016. So probably by 2019, after actually turning back into knowledge of self and learning, diving down the rabbit hole about, our heritage and just understanding the historical connections leading up to this point, history and law leading up to this point, I was able to then realize that, for one, I'm totally renouncing Christianity. Once I understood the original context that it came from, was it being used as a tool to overthrow the governments and the society and the cultures of the original and indigenous peoples. And it was used forcefully, put on to people. They either had to convert or be slaughtered, all in the name of the doctrine of discovery. And what was that? The Roman Papa Bull into Catera Divina and things of that nature. And so, once I realized, like, dang, this is the origin of Christianity. It became a process for me to separate myself, because like a lot of other people, I know I had a huge emotional connection, and emotional empowerment through, Christianity. But, so now that shift for me coming into Islam, my first studies in Islam wasn't even unorthodox, or it wasn't, what current Islam is. It was like a sector of something from the Moorish Americans.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was like my first like true stab into Islam. Like I was like distantly exploring from that angle into Islam for about almost a whole year and a half before I eventually got my own Quran and came into some more grounding and fundamental context behind Islam. Actually, I'm gonna pull up one of the
What was some major differences as far as an ideology or doctrine that you noticed um from the Moorish Americans' perspective rather than Saudi Arabian?
So honestly, it was a bit confusing once I first came into it, because you had Noble Drew Ali with the Circle 7 Quran, right? And did you get into Noble Drew Ali's Circle 7?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, definitely got the Prophet's literature.
So I was my first introduction was like material introduction was Circle 7 Quran, and then there was like something that I found on like Scrib talking about, it was like a whole like 16-page summary report on Islam and I self-law am master, and just it wasn't really it's more so like the spirit more than a letter. If you ever heard the expression or the axiom, spirit of the law versus the letter of the law.
Right.
So, but yeah, even with Noble Drew Ali's Circle 7, it was a bit confusing because there was still some reverence and connection to Jesus Christ. And
Hmm.
and that was something that I was like, really trying to, I was meaning and intending to separate from, or just kind of like give a break. And then um I was, man, it wasn't even, I was like a year in, having been exposed to Circle 7 Quran. And then I learned, I came across this one book called No More Lies. And it was exposing how uh, Noble Drew Ali had plagiarized the Circle 7. And so I was like, well, damn. And so, that's all in the book right here. So, um, all the receipts are here, Um, so that, let me just think about how, oh yeah, so from that point, the next book too that I got in was Lost Pages of Islam, which is, okay, we're talking about trying to get to the bottom of it all. This was definitely a dissertation that covers some major ground. Even for you to be introductory into Islam, uh, and you don't have too much of a foundational background, reading the Quran or practicing Islam, this book right here was like, you covered it. It covers a lot of ground to contextualize how, what, and why was the Quran and Islam hijacked by the Pale Arabs, and just pointing out every other little relevant point. And so this right here just put a lot into perspective as well. It was just like, okay, when you're coming into this journey and knowledge of self and consciousness, and you understand that what we're breaking away from as far as their programming, or why we need to break away from it. But then it's like, okay, once you know that you need to break away, you also have this sensation of like needing to pay attention to something and needing to be associated and aligned with something. And so you either go in an African, North American, indigenous, like spirituality, um, and it's like one or two more that I can't think of as far as like the directions of like consciousness or identity or ideology that pretty much subscribe to. And yeah, so I'm grateful to come across this level of awareness to kind of step aside some of the BS that a lot of people have diligently went through, just diving down a rabbit hole, paying attention, learning, and then but only to realize that, like J. Cole says, good news is, nigga, you came a long way. Bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Showers out. At least he said you gotta come across a lot of fools till you come in contact somebody who makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely the truth right there.
Right. So shout out to Dr. Ali, man. Dr. Ali Muhammad, Dr. Amaru Namatagas Ali for doing some major work in our community that most of us aren't aware of. But yeah, man. So these are pretty much, okay, for me to have the level of awareness that I do have is solely because I've been a student of Dr. Ali. And, let me go back and bring this up. Bunch of stuff up here.
Do you see this as like one of the first steps our people can take as far as when it comes to our unity and just organizing, just being unified in thought and in
Mhm.
spirit, if we all fast during this time?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. And it's a very simple answer, too. The easiest and the best thing that our people can do to take unity serious is to take our health serious. If you're not conscious enough to distinguish uh, participating or consuming things that adversely impact your health, then you're just straight up a part of the problem. And discipline is one of the first forms of love that we demonstrate upon ourselves. And so if we talk about unifying our people, our families, our communities, and as a nation, um, that first law of nature is the most important one that we have to read people through. And that first law of nature being self-preservation can also be described as love. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much do you love yourself? And so, to try and build a community with people who don't love themselves or who wouldn't avoid causing harm or death upon themselves is completely delusional for us to try and think that we can unify a people, who carry that perception or that attitude or that approach in life. It's completely counterproductive. And that's first step one. If you can't control what you put in your mouth, you dang sure finna control your own reality and community of people.
So, for a person that's just getting into this information, what's some literature would you recommend?
Oh yeah, so dang, where did that one book go? Let me just do it like this. Um, yeah, so for a person who's just first getting into what, Ramadan, or you said literature?
The whole idea of fasting, Ramadan, Islam. A lot of people is new to this. It's not that they wouldn't mind participating, but it's just like they don't know where to turn. What would you recommend for a person that's
Oh
just getting
shoot.
started?
You know what? I mean, this ebook right here is a good starting point. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I there's a couple of pieces missing here, but it's enough to get to introduce people to, because that's the other thing too. Like, I mean, to be honest, some of these things can be overwhelming, you know, and a lot of people don't have the capacity to digest and process a lot of information all at once. So that's why like I said, when I put this ebook together, um, I wanted to make it as short and relevant as possible for someone, just being introduced and, as a beginning here, and just, some of the most relevant points. So I would encourage y'all to go to newlifestyle.org and go to the books section tab and cop this free ebook and, you know, skim through it. You'll get a concept of, just the basic instructions um, on, how to participate in this fast. Um, some more context on, mentally preparing yourself to understand the value of what you're doing. Because that's, another reason why we don't do what we should do is because we don't know any better. And there's some inspiration in here, some more science and uh, other contextual points. So there's one that I do want to acknowledge, which is, why is Ramadan taking place at this time of the year and not in another part of the year? And so part of the reason why is because of the alignment between the center of the galaxy, which is known as Sagittarius A, or the Milky Way, the sun, and the planet Earth. And so when you notice this time of the year, the days are much shorter, less sunlight. I need to find the word that describes this, but basically the reason why that's happening is because of, the Earth on its rotation relevant to the sun, right? And so not only do you have that occurring, but you also have this time of the year where not only is the sun primarily on one side, but also the center of the galaxy is on that same side. And so if you understand the principle of gravitational force, like say, for example, with the moon causing high and low tides, you can begin to imagine the, I got a visual for this. Oh, here it is. You can now begin to imagine the magnetic pull and the magnetic force that happens during this time of the year when the sun and the center of the galaxy is on the same side, pulling in the same direction. And so this is the reason why everybody's in a given spirit, right? Is one of the reasons. And so this is an optimal time to align yourself with that force. You know what I'm saying? The seat of our creator, where all of your thoughts and prayers goes to, like, everything within our galaxy revolves around this single point, and everything has to reconcile with this force, right? Even the sun is rotating around this. And so when you think about the will of our creator, the will of the Most High, physically speaking, this is the direction that the will is, pulling everything to, or controlling everything to. Like, so this right here is God's unchanging hand, because when you think about nature is the only constant that's always changing, right? It's the only change that's always constant. And when we talk about certain doctrines or religious doctrines, the issue with most is that most of the religious doctrines compromise integrity of your own God-given nature. Like, they have you doing things that are adverse to your health, and or not being responsible like you should with your health. There's a lot of excusing. So the first thing that one could realize, even from our discussion today, is that it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether it's Christianity, Buddha, Islam, everything else in between. At the end of the day, your experience and your reality revolves around the center of this galaxy. And by aligning your intention and, through physical motion, by practicing mindfulness at certain time periods throughout the day, is just a physical way to align yourself with the will of our creator, And so, I mean, there's some other reasons why. Okay, there it is. There's some other reasons why, it's also relevant for us to not only participate and to learn and educate ourselves and those around us about this time of the year, because prior to colonization, our indigenous cultures, we would have certain ceremonies and gatherings at these different time periods of the year. And so, the winter solstice, which is coming up about a week or 2.5, is a very special time and moment of the year. And you know, in this book we have a section about Ramadan and the meaning of it, which is very important too. You know, if you want to encourage people, or if we want to remind our people about this time of the year and to participate in fasting and what it symbolizes and everything that's culturally relevant to it, you know, understanding what the word Ramadan means is one of them. So, you know, in the book, we have a section here, just kind of giving some basic etymology. And then, you know, the actual surahs that identify, you know, the times of the day to pray and whatnot, and what you want to set your attention upon when you do practice this mindfulness, and so forth. So this is definitely a great starting place. And, you know, what I'm sharing with you all today is really just tip of the iceberg. And like I said, I'm just a student of Dr. Ali Muhammad. And he actually had a lecture and a presentation. Matter of fact, let's go pull it up real quick. So I would definitely redirect some of your people to this as a resource as well. I don't know, take it from me, take it from the source.
So going back to what you said earlier, how certain religious practices are actually harmful to our nature and health.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay for you all to drink water during this monthly fast? Because I know the Sunni and Orthodox, the Ramadan they practice, they say you can't drink water or eat during the day, which I think is actually dangerous
It
because
is.
that's actually dehydrating the body.
Yeah, it is, you know, but I'm not going to say it's like not effective, but it's not the most optimal thing that you could do as far as a fast. Like some of those sensations that you're experiencing when you're dry fasting are sensations of dehydration and not entirely you know, spiritual connectivity or whatnot, right? And there's other symptoms of, you know, just being when you're detoxing and also fast, dry fasting. But you know, what's most optimal is consuming organic lime juice during this time, you know, when you're fasting. So you can put it in some water and just, you know, be drinking on throughout the day. This, you know, something else that you can actually use that's going to stimulate and detox within your body is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is really, really good. I was going to pull up a little. Okay, here we go. Chlorophyll. While I find this channel, YouTube channel. Subscriptions. Oh, here it is. Switch tabs.
So, Brother Ja, I wanted to ask you a quick question while you're looking for that. So, do you actually participate in Ramadan in the second half of the year, like towards like June, or you just practice for this one?
Yep, we only participate in the true time period for Ramadan, which is towards the latter half of the year. And, in accordance to the Quran, which says that it happens by the setting of a star. That star is Sirius C. And also at the end of the 9th month. So what's the 9th month of the year? Oh, you might be on mute.
One more time.
Oh, no, I was saying, what's the 9th month of the year?
September, yeah.
You said September?
Is that right? Or
oh, no, it's not September.
but Hakeem,
take another guess.
Say it again.
The question was, when is the question is, what's the 9th?
The 9th month
of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say November.
Why do you say November?
Well, because the etymology of the root word of November, nov, is 9. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. So October is 8 for Oct, right? And then Sept is 7. And even that much is identified in the Quran. But yeah, so this is the lecture that that Ali did this year for the Ramadan, and I highly encourage you all to tune into this if you really want to get the full in-depth analysis. I was just skimming across the iceberg here with you all, to be honest. But this brother here, he's been teaching on indigenous Aboriginal Ramadan for 16 years now. And he's been the only one that's, really been advocating it every year, with the platform and whatnot. So I definitely encourage y'all, if you really want to, dive into it, check this lecture out. And we'll also have the link to that ebook.
Okay.
If you guys want to cop that, you can. And then I'm going to actually finish revising it and adding in those other few little pieces. And if you do, cop the ebook before that time, you'll get an automatic update with that new edition available. It'll be ready before next year's Ramadan. I'm definitely not gonna have it before this year.
Right. So going back to the 9th month, does it start in the 9th month?
It starts at the end of the 9th month. So, and that's when you have the setting of the Sirius star, which usually happens like the last week of November or like the first week of December.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to go over as far as for the fast or on the star system?
Oh yeah, let me just highlight one thing here from the book. Yeah, so this is the last thing that I wanted to highlight, which is just a little bit more emphasis on this time of the year and just the season and how the season feels. Here's a section that's talking about, the 9 months and whatnot. But so there's this post that I made about 2 years ago, and it says, People swear they be so woke, denouncing holidays, not realizing every so-called European holiday is yet another plagiarized version of seasonal observations, ceremonial periods, consecration, and exchange of gifts and harvest giving, thanks, etc. That originally was instituted by original peoples of this planet, being in harmony and rhythm with nature. Reclaim these holy days and times back with intention, and if anything, cut back on how much energy and money you give into European materialism. Every year they extract your energy slash money slash a little bit of wealth you might have between November and December, getting you into their materialism. We are the gifts. Think about it. Do you value yourself enough to know that your present is a gift and a blessing to your loved ones? Have you connected with yourself enough to know just how special you are? Who taught you to hate yourself is a quote from the late Malcolm X. But yeah, so this time of the year is truly the most wonderful time of the year, and not just because of some Christmas jingle. Um, it's because, that relationship between the center of the galaxy and the sun and us, um, is at the highest point of influence. And so the other aspect to being a Muslim, so like one common way to identify a Muslim is when you see them praying, they oftentimes turn and face a certain direction. And so that right there is not just an Islamic Muslim thing, but that right there could be the same reason why when animals wake up, the first thing they do is stretch, right? But they didn't have to like go to some religious doctrine to know that they should stretch before they move around. And so the point is that even for us who are conscious minded beings, we should, and we do have this natural inclination to align ourselves and yield ourselves towards the direction of the force that we have to reckon with every night and day, that sets our circadian rhythm and allows us to enter into lower states of consciousness and experience dream through, the states of consciousness and whatnot. Oh, you know what? I think that actually a section here in the text about consciousness and the correlation between our mind and the sun and our states of consciousness and excuse me, also our state of being as it relates to our health. you know um these are all just components, little components to our reality, and that most of us are oblivious to, and a lot of us are becoming more aware of. But it's definitely essential that we learn these things so that we can be more self-aware and more responsible for the realities that we are creating, um, not just by ourselves, but as co-creators.
So how should one go about the prayers?
Yeah, so the prayers is based on, let's just say, three elements. Uh, okay, maybe four. So timing, intention, um, and keyword, and breathing. So there's designated periods throughout the day that you will practice this mindfulness and just and align with connect and align with the or in the direction of the sun. because that's the greatest force that you are, submitted to already, right? And so to get started, first part of your day begins meditating and praying with the sunrise. And the reason why you want to do it with the sunrise is because this is when the sun's energy is manifesting, is growing. And so this is a good time to not only write out some affirmations or write out some projections or write out your vision, but it's a good time to speak over yourself. A lot of people do this who are Christian. They pray, and they pray over themselves, and they pray over other people. So, it's not anything new here with, just speaking over yourself and praying over yourself. But now the only thing that you're probably doing differently if you're a Christian is you are actually just going to position yourself into the direction of the sunrise, which should be in the east, right? And then, so during this prayer and meditation, you're focusing on your goals and just, your next steps, and whether that's the day ahead of you or the upcoming year, right? And then the next time for the prayer is during the noon, or the solar noon, which is when the sun is at the apex of its rise, and just before it starts to dip back down. And so at that moment in time, it's like the energy is balancing. So this is a good time when you do your prayer and your meditation and you're practicing your mindfulness. This is a good time to focus on balance. You're going to focus on, balance within yourself and balance with everything around you. And that's your only focal point, during that time, is to just focus and visualize and affirm balance over you, every aspect of your life, and those around you and circumstances that you're involved in, right? You balance your energy, balance your desires, balance your behaviors, balance your relationships, your environment, and your experience. The third meditation and prayer is during sunset. And, the focal point there is to release, because once the sun is setting, the energy from the sun is receding away from us. So this is a good time to let go. And so, focus and visualize and meditate on letting go of and releasing the things that you cannot control, any stress, pain, or emotional tension that you have, bad habits, distractions, perceptions, behaviors, and just releasing all things unserving to your highest purpose and harmony in life. And so there is one more time period that you can do your meditation and prayer, but this is like an optional one, which is at midnight. And so at the midnight hour, or what is known as twilight, that is an optimal time for you to meditate with an expectation of revelation. Okay, so that's the time when you're going into your dark room, no lights. You do it, and all of these all of these meditations and prayers is highly encouraged and recommended to do some type of breathing exercise during or before, because once you increase your oxygen levels, your cells are going to be able to communicate faster, right, between your tissues and your organs and your systems. So oxygenate your body so that your cells can communicate more efficiently. So now when you're having your visualization and your spoken thought and just your whole magnetism around that intention, the electrical impulse of that thought into manifestation can be that much more efficient, because you have more oxygen present in your body, and your cells need oxygen to communicate. So but yeah, so that's pretty much the basic instructions on how to fast and when to fast. And the times vary according to your location, so you can look up or even on like the weather app, it shows when the sun rises, when the sun sets. You can Google um, time based on geography. So, you know, you just put in your city and state, and it'll show you the sunrise for the next 30 days, like at the times, you know, per day. It'll show the solar noon time. It'll show the sunset time, and it'll also show the twilight hour time, which is like the other cardinal fourth point. Uh, you know, that's optimal for you to tap in with the Most High.
Wonderful. That was wonderful.
Awesome, man. Yeah, great questions there.
Yeah, and these all off the top too.
Yeah, because honestly, I was not prepared like I intended, but you know, it definitely helps when you got some material already put together that you can just, you know,
Right, right.
run with.
No, most definitely, man. So yeah, that should be enough sound information for the masses to grasp hold on. We could possibly do a part two, or some kind of sequel to carry into the like you said, the consciousness and the sun, as well as the serious thought system.
Mm-hmm.
In farming
Oh,
also, well, I wanted to touch on that, but that can be for the next one though.
What was
what
that
is
question?
Farming,
Did you say about farming?
yeah, we could probably say that for the next. That's probably a heavy topic to kind of break down. But I wanted to touch on that as well, yeah.
You said just breaking down the farming component.
Yeah, because I'm reading the theology of time right now, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much the messenger is pretty much saying that that's where the world is heading to. Pretty much every man should be able to have their own farm. Like we won't be able to depend on the grocery store. So you know what I'm saying? Like our people really need to know, like if you're going from not being able to farm at all, what are some techniques where they can even? Because I seen a video with NLE Chopper. He was doing tote farming, where
Mm-hmm.
he was growing certain vegetables in a tote. You know what I'm saying? But that's something that's better than nothing. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that is a whole nother topic for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, there is a relevant piece here towards Ramadan, but it wasn't in the direction that you were inquiring about. The relevant
Right.
piece towards Ramadan was just how this time period of the year was also after like the last harvest, um, you know, with growing food. And so this is why Thanksgiving existed, because truthfully, you're going into the winter season. You don't know if you're gonna make it out, you know, or make it with enough food, you know, to make it through the winter. So, uh,
all vegetation but none?
so the last you have the last harvest that you're so thankful for, right? This Thanksgiving, and then you have to sustain yourself and your family throughout this winter with the food that was harvested. So which makes even more sense of why, you know, everybody ain't just eating all throughout the day, because we gotta ration this food out, you know. But to your point though about growing food, you know, even outside of what's currently happening with the society, just a responsibility that we should have within our own community is being able to provide our own community with our own sources of food, and you know, being able to grow our own food and whatnot. And that's just a whole nother level of responsibility that, you know, we have to get to as a people, um, you know, and as men and women of our community.
Yeah, I agree. And it still require us to study the heavens too.
Hmm.
To know when to plant certain foods. Because I was recently listening to this his brother Hondo Solomon. He was saying majority of the people we eat out of season.
Hmm.
It also affects the way you think and your behavior. He was like, so that's also another Another thing that you can put into your diet, eating foods when they're in season
Hmm.
to get the proper nutrition value.
Yeah, that's another great example there. And that we can go even further on. Like we can definitely elaborate on that. But like I said,
Right.
that'd be a whole nother topic. And honestly, we are totally ready. We are totally ready for that topic. Got a whole book um put together on that topic, and it's called The Four Essentials Scientifically Grow.
Oh wow. Yeah, I got some arsenals.
That's a free ebook too, or
Nah, this one ain't free, but it's available.
on the same site that you mentioned earlier?
Oh yeah, newlifestyle.org.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you got some gems.
Yeah, so we'll have actually I'm supposed to be revising this to be ready for the upcoming growing season, for it to also be like a workbook and something that people can use for like in-home or school curriculums.
So what are some since I know you got experience in agriculture as well as nutrition, what are some foods that the men can eat during this solstice, this time of the month to balance out their hormones
Oh yeah,
and
that's a great
increase
question.
testosterone levels?
Yeah, so really this time of the year, if there was a time to cut back out rubbish, as much of the rubbish out of your diet as possible, this is the most optimal time to do it. Like if you want to cut back on a certain animal or give a certain animal a break, if you can do any or all of them animals, giving them a break for just this time period of the year, that would be like the most optimal thing ever. Now with that, outside of that, the most optimal recommendation for consumption is only consuming things that are part of the original creation. So if you're gonna eat meat, only consume your wild caught animals like salmon, sea bass, tuna, bison, deer meat, etc. Um, Everything else is a man-made hybrid, and it's compromising the integrity of your God-given nature. When you are digesting the food, your body is having to, and your organs are having to overwork itself just to properly eliminate and transport the toxins from one part of your body to the other. This is known as the urea cycle. And one of the reasons why people end up on dialysis because they have too much toxemia that their body can't filter and pump out. They have too much nitrogen, ammonia. And so there's certain animals that we've already identified that are adverse to your health and well-being and having an optimal state of being without, causing extra disruption in your circulatory system and, you know, um, and so forth. So yeah, definitely just keep it simple, only eat fish or only eat, bison meat or, something to that degree. I know everybody's on a different walk in their journey, dietary preferences and whatnot, but wherever you're at, just if you're gonna participate in Ramadan, take it one level higher as far as how clean you could be possibly eating. So that could be, what I'm saying, just cutting out fast food for 30 days or for the remaining duration of this fast. That could be cutting out sodas, no more uh, fountain cokes or fountain sodas. It could be something as simple as that. Um, so it just all depends on where you are, and also just meeting yourself where you are so you can be realistic, because the worst thing that you can do is like set this unrealistic expectation that you're trying to live up to, and now you're failing miserably. You backsliding hard when your strength mentally is not that strong to endure that kind of pressure just yet. So you want to be realistic where you are and meet yourself where you are, and do what you can, do what's reasonable and what's realistic for you. And then foods for the hormones. I would say kalamata, olives, uh, maca, pine pollen, and squats and sprints are some of the best things that men can do for regulating and stimulating male hormone and testosterone.
And you said, what was it? Pine what?
Oh, pine pollen, maca root. I'm also throw in beetroot powder. It's really great for circulation.
Okay.
And what is the first thing? Oh, squats and sprints.
Might definitely put them in my notes.
Oh, and then shoot, let me go back to this one little visual. I also would encourage you to get some chlorophyll. All right. So if you don't do anything, get you some spring water and some chlorophyll, and just start drinking on some chlorophyll water. All right. So what is chlorophyll going to do? It's gonna oxygenate your body, help boost energy levels. It's full of antioxidants. It's going to increase your cellular energy production, helps to protect your liver, supports liver detoxification, cleanse and detox, immunity system support, anti-inflammatory, fighting off them free radicals, cause oxidative stress, anti-aging, also great for regulating weight, helps reduce inflammation, and also helps to fight cancer. Okay, so start with chlorophyll and maybe some lime juice. Also, this is an ebook that we have on the site that's actually free. It's called Fast and Detox 101. Should definitely hop on and grab that one. And there we just talk about just the fast and detox protocols that we have here. At the bottom, you see what we got down there. Indigenous Ramadan, right? The impacted result is on your mind, body, spirit, detox, and calibration. Also, you will be able to stimulate age reversal genes. That's what's happening. All right, brothers.
All right, brothers. It was a great build, solid build. Yes, sir. Appreciate all of you that's watching. Hopefully you learned a lot. Looking forward to part 2.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. It's the opportunity here to gather some higher education to teach others. That's what it's about. That's what the acronym is for, being ghetto.
Right, right. Oh man, you know it'd be hard if you had what's his name, Donnie Hathaway, the joint. Yeah, Donnie Hathaway, the ghetto.
I ain't heard that.
Had that as a thing song. Y'all know who Donnie Hathaway is, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got a song called The Ghetto.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like one of his most popular ones. But
If you could send this over to me, I can probably chop it up and edit it up and put out like clips of it,
clips of what?
the video. If you send it over when you get a chance, I can go ahead and chop it up and pick. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely send it. I don't know if he. I don't think he got a video. It's just a song. But
Well,
I
I'm
send
talking
a
about
song.
the video that we're doing here.